Lean and green. Every small business person I talk to is wondering, how do I participate in the green revolution? It's the kind of thing that the large corporations, they advertise and they have massive campaigns, but everybody knows by now that we're responsible at an individual level for recycling and participating in the whole green trend, trying to lower our carbon output and make our carbon footprint smaller. I'm talking today to Garrett Anderson. He's with Anderson Print Group in Omaha, Nebraska. And Garrett's right in the middle of the green revolution. Thanks for coming to NxBizSuccess.
Thank you.
You obviously have a very successful printing operation. You're surrounded here by pallets of paper.
Right.
So you have a responsibility that exceeds what most people have to deal with.
Right.
Tell us all, how do you participate? And we'll go on to other areas, but how do you feel about this whole green thing? Is it a superficial involvement, or is it something that you can do in a big flourish, or how do you approach it in general?
Yeah, at first I hated it. You know, quite frankly, we're a printer.
Yeah.
The first reaction is green. Get rid of paper. Get rid of brochures. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I got some green paper here. What do I do with that, right? Yeah.
Our mission statement: print on paper and
Yes.
get rid of our business. But you know, there are small steps that we started to take at the beginning several years ago, and I think any business can take. And look and see what your peers are doing in your industry. But we really engaged it, and we, at every point through our production process now, try to figure out how we can do it environmentally friendly.
Okay, okay. Well, you know, I know that it's, you know, there's recycling, obviously, that's almost everybody can do.
Right.
And then there's all this other stuff, and getting all the way down the line to like paying for carbon credits. I mean, yeah, there's a vast array of tactics. Where do you begin?
Yeah. You know, I would definitely check the resources online that you can. And like I say, most industries are going to have something on how to do it in their specific business.
Yeah.
We have lots of different resources as a printer. You know, there are papers that are grown that are specifically recyclable,
Okay.
forest stewardry, and you can ask, and most people use us, a printer, for their work, right?
Yes.
They have brochures, they use forms,
Yeah.
they use envelopes.
Letters.
It's part of their business, ongoing business concern.
Sure, sure, sure.
That stuff, you can request recycled paper, and that'll be a big step in going green.
Now, do your wholesaler distributors that bring you paper, do they charge you extra to get organic paper or recycled paper or whatever? Does it cost you extra to buy the stuff?
It does, but you know, that's all part of the process. You know,
Okay,
people
right.
are going to have to sacrifice a little bit if they're going to want to participate, and you know, you can work on that up front, but there are some papers, you know, some glossy stocks, some regular papers that you use that aren't much more expensive.
How about inks? I know that's a big part of your business as well. How do they fit into the whole thing?
Right, yeah, and we have recycled soy inks that we use. Another thing you can ask your printer.
Okay.
Our process used to use a lot of chemicals. We don't use a lot of those chemicals anymore as a
Okay.
process.
All right. So you're moving some things out and replacing it with more earth-friendly ingredients. Now, what about the guy who's watching us and he's not in the printing business, and paper and ink are really not central to his business model? Do you have any suggestions for those people? Because I get the impression, Garrett, that if you're not participating somehow in the green revolution, you might actually be losing some competitive force.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And they're going to have to lean upon their peers, you know. Ask their employees, what are some creative ideas of the stuff that we use? How can we recycle?
Right.
You know,
right.
it can be very simple stuff.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is, I hear about this sometimes. People say, hey, we do this in our business, and we do this. Well, we're making our carbon footprint theoretically smaller.
Yeah.
Now we want to brag about it and let people know so that they prefer us over a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what happens is there's this cynicism that builds up where people don't really, so he recycles, and over here he prints on the two sides of paper, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you really cut through the crap and give people a genuine sense of what your philosophy about this incredible global warming thing is?
Right. I think you have to tiptoe through that too and approach it slowly, because you're right. A lot of people, you slap it on the front page of your website and they're like, you know, what does this even mean? Why does it even tell me this? But you be very careful, handle it tactfully, and you know, we do it subtly. We try to mention it in marketing materials on our website, but we don't make it our main focus. Because there are people out there that really don't care. I mean, I don't care if it's recycled or not.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's only a portion of the American population that gravitates in that direction. Another thing that people do, and I'd like your opinion about it, is that they tell their vendors, the people that they buy from, we would like you to do something that is earth friendly. And that could have to do with their gasoline usage, or I mean, all kinds of things. The trucks that they drive over to deliver the product.
Right.
And so by forcing that mandate on their vendors, that's moving it around a little bit.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. At least it's sharing it too, because you know, a small business, they're trying to save their cash anywhere they can. It's tough for them to go out and buy a recyclable plastic bag versus a regular plastic bag. But that's another thing I was going to mention, is there are other things they use. Plastic bags are a great example. We just found a source of biodegradable plastic bags.
Is there such a thing?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It takes 2.5 years to degrade versus eternity.
Right.
But you know, so there are some creative things now. So even if you start with a printer, not saying about a print project, but I've got this question, you know, I have this flash drive that I want to get. Is there any way I can find a green flash drive? Call your printer, call your marketing person, and they'll have some thoughts. You know, lean on those people.
You know, one other quick thing insofar as employee culture, and I know you have a culture here, and you stand for certain things, and obviously that attracts a certain type of recruit. But it's becoming tougher and tougher to get great talent, especially young folks. And I'm thinking, and I've been told recently, that if you have a clearly stated green policy that you're consistent with, you actually do attract a higher quality employee. And I think that's really central to your culture as you evolve over time.
Yeah, I think employees want their employers to be human. I think they want them to care about them. I think they want them to communicate with them. And caring about the environment is part of that as well. And again, back to simple steps. If you have pop cans that you recycle in the office, that sends a big signal to the employee. Paper that gets recycled, cardboard, glass, it's all stuff that you do at your home. Why can't you do that in the workplace as well? And that sends a big message to the guy that's working for you, or the lady that's working for you, that says, you know, they really care about me and our environment. That's a great
way to wrap up the summary. You know, Garrett Anderson with Anderson Print Group in Omaha, Nebraska, what I think you're telling me is not only is it possible as a small business person in this century and at this time in our era and our economy to not only be successful, but to be significant. And if you can move in that direction and be both, it's a great long-term trajectory. Thanks for being on NxBizSuccess. I'm talking to Garrett Anderson in Omaha, Nebraska. My name is Lynn Hinderrocker. Make sure you get on the green train, keep going, and keep growing.